Yo, what up world? Welcome back to another beat making video. Today we're going to be doing an R&B type track using just FL Studio stock plugins and samples, and we're going to be going over some like tips and just easy ways to make your R&B beats a little more interesting. So with that being said, let's just jump right into it. I will be leaving the .flp in the description below. If you want to download this project file, you can. So yeah, usually I start off with a chord progression, especially when I'm doing R&B, but I figure I'd change things up a little bit. I've been listening to like a lot of Solange, and she just has like the craziest percussive loops in her tracks, so we're gonna try to go for something like that. So I'm in drums mode audio in the percussive folder, and I really like all the ones that begin with MA because they just have the least tone to them, and that's what I like with percussion, like just the sounds that sound like percussion that don't have a lot of tone to them. So let's just grab a few, kind of like that. Kind of like that. Maybe just one more. I think that sounds cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this one, the waka pop, on every other beat. So that should look like that. And for these other two, I'll just put them on the off beats. So this probably sounds really boring, but we can spice it up by using some delay. So we'll throw this waka pop into the mixer, and we're going to use a plugin that not a lot of people really use anymore, delay bank. No, delay bank. And we're just going to use the preset whistling sixes. And for the other two, let's just throw them in the mixer, and we'll just put some verb on them and pan them a little bit. Try to keep the settings more or less the same. I know I can just copy and paste the settings, but okay, and for the one with delay, we're gonna go into the wrench tool and hit cut self. So this way, every time the sample re-triggers, the delay will re-trigger as well, and it just sounds a bit cleaner. So let's give this all a listen. Let me lower these two. All right, cool. So what I want to do now is right click on the pattern and render it as an audio clip, just so we have a little more control over, because when you're dealing with like delays, it's just, I think it's easier to deal with it in audio because you can actually see what's going on better. So everything looks good. So yeah, this happens sometimes in FL Studio. I don't know, it seems to happen not all the time, but happens sometimes. Sometimes when it renders the audio, it will render the delay. Yeah, as you can see, it's going on like past 16 bars, and I guess it's just registering all that delay. So we can just cut that off, and yeah, this should loop properly. So let's give it a listen. That's perfect. Okay, so let's just throw that down there. I suppose we can get rid of all of this because we don't need it anymore. I'll just throw that into the mixer. I'll just put that on track 1. Okay, next up, let's get some chords in there. So I'm going to open up Flex. I'm going to go into strings, and I'm going to go with all strings sustain. This is a pretty loud patch, so I'm going to lower it a bit. And we're going to go for like these big, lush, soulful chords. So I'm probably just going to jump to when this progression is done, because it's going to take me a minute to get this all down. So I will see you in a second. All right, so I got these chords down. Let's give it a listen. Okay, cool. So what I want to do with this is I want to throw it into the playlist, if it will let me. And I want to automate the master filter. So I'm just going to right click the cutoff here, create automation clip. And what I want to do is basically just go up, down, up, down. So something like that, and we can make the curve a little less harsh just by doing this. And let's give it a listen. All right, cool. Yeah, definitely is giving the track that movement that I'm looking for. So I dig it. So what I want to do now is copy these chords. We're going to open up another flex. This time we're just going to grab a piano. I think I'll just go with the Yamaha piano. And let's go into another pattern. Let's drag this over. Let's name things so we don't get confused. And just paste the chords in. So I'm going to hit Alt S to strum it. And we'll strum it generously. And we'll cut off all this excess here, all these notes that we don't need. And I might raise it up an octave, see how that sounds. So Control A and Control up. And let's put both of these into the mixer as well. Okay, that octave is too much. Let's give the piano a little more release. All right, cool. I'm hearing like wind chimes in this, so let's go back into the percussion folder, and I think it's in the regular folder. So let's throw that in the mixer, lower it quite a bit, put some verb, make the room as big as possible. All right, let's get a cymbal in there. Go with the crash. Let's get rid of this ride. So what we're gonna do is make this one unique and reverse it so we can get like a nice filter sweep. We'll put them both in the same mixer channel. Lower it quite a bit, and again, just some reverb. Make the room as big as possible. All right, cool. Let's get some drums in there. So for the drums, I want to use a real kick. So I'm going to go into, I believe, Legacy Drums, real drum kicks, or no, we'll go into the hip hop folder. Yeah, something like that. Okay, and the snare, I'm just going to go with the 808 snare because that always works. All right, let's make a new pattern for the drums. Let's name it drums. So we're just looking for really simple spaced out drums. That's usually the case for R&B. All right, we'll make this one unique. And we'll just do a double hit there. So let's grab, I'm thinking like a tambourine. So this would pretty much be the verse section, and then like for a chorus section, I would introduce like a lead and the bass and maybe some hi-hats. So we can try that. So let's start off with the lead. I'm gonna use SZA. So if you don't have this, if you're using this plugin in demo mode, all you have to do is once you have the MIDI down, just do what I did earlier with the percussion. Just right click and render it as audio, and you'll have whatever you did for the MIDI, or whatever I did if you're just downloading this FLP. So I'm gonna go into leads and grab like a Moog lead, Weeping Moog, and let's is there a glide option? Yeah. So we'll put the glide up and so let's make sure all these notes are overlapping. let's get a bass in there. So I'm not going to use an 808 bass line. I want to use a real sounding bass. So I'm going to go into packs, and then we're going to go into instruments, and we're just going to grab a bass. Okay, sorry about that. They like change things around a little bit. So let's make a new pattern. I'm going to keep the bass line pretty simple. So we're just going to make like passing notes. So what other notes are we in? A, C, E, F. All right. So let's put that Sora into the mixer and cut off some of those lows. Then we can have like a break where just the piano plays. And the beat will drop back in. Maybe without the hi-hats. All right, so sometimes for like the second verse, I like to do something just a little weird, just to keep the song a little interesting. So I'm gonna open up Citrus, and I'm gonna get like a sequencer. I know that sounds like really out of place for R&B, but maybe we can make it work. Sequence. Let's get another pattern. Not really sure where I'm going to put this yet, but we'll figure it out. So for the second chorus, we can just kind of drop a lot of this stuff out. Maybe we could do something like, let's make this unique, and we'll have this go up. And we'll put those symbols back there, and just grab this whole section. Alright guys, so that's about it for this one. I'll let the track play out. The FLP will be in the description below if you would like to, I don't know, if you want to download this and mess around with it. It is yours to keep, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.